My name is Stacy, and the title of my presentation is Vikings to Valhalla. I chose Viking Death because I thought it would maybe be a little different, a little interesting, and it is. Not all Vikings go to Valhalla, though. Another reason that I chose Vikings was because I had read recently that there's kind of a rebirth of Norse belief and worship, specifically in Iceland. And the people in Iceland have built a new temple, and it is dedicated to the Norse god Odin, who I have pictured here. The Vikings didn't really have any kind of written formal doctrine concerning what happens to someone when they die, but there are some different beliefs. Um, One of the beliefs is that Vikings would go to the Hall of the Fallen, or Valhalla, and this was presided over by Odin. And this area of afterlife was reserved for warrior heroes, basically, and Odin and his Valkyries would pick who got to enter. The goddess Freya also had a hall, and I'm not really sure how to pronounce that word. This was known as the Field of People or the Field of Warriors, so it was another place that warriors could go. Vikings who died at sea would go to a place underwater. But normal, everyday people would probably go to a place called Hell. And Hell was presided over by a goddess with the same name. Now, this Hell isn't hell that a lot of us would think of. It was not a place of punishment. Um, so people who died of more natural causes, or everyday people, would go here, and they would find, other family members there if those family members weren't warriors who went on to Valhalla or somewhere else. Um, they would basically do the things that they did in life. Um, they would eat and drink and sleep, fight, all that kind of stuff. So those who die in battle, those hero warriors, would go to Valhalla, and those who died of more peaceful causes would go to hell. Vikings didn't really consider reward or punishment after death. They didn't have this idea of salvation or damnation. So they really didn't live life having fear of going to a bad place after death. Viking funerals. So a funeral would be held 7 days after the death, and it was a celebration. And it would be marked with a drinking of ale, which signified the passing of any property from the deceased. So passing of property to, an heir. Um, there were different ways of preparing a body to move into the afterlife. Um, it seems to be that burning of the body was pretty typical. They believed that the smoke from the fire kind of guided the person into the afterlife. So cremation. So it was normal in Viking times to cremate the body before either a land or sea burial. Um, and like I said just a second ago, they believed that the smoke would carry them to their rightful destination in the afterlife. So successful cremation required a funeral pyre. The Vikings wanted the body to be completely incinerated. They wanted it all to be turned into ash. They really didn't want any parts that weren't thoroughly burned. So to achieve this, they had to build a funeral pyre, and this would be kind of a wooden structure that the body would be laid on. Um, they needed the structure to provide enough heat to completely incinerate the body. So when it comes to burial, the Vikings would either bury the ashes of their dead in graves or under piles of rocks, but they also would send them off in ships. Um, the belongings of the person would be buried with them, and that would help them with afterlife, to have their things with them. Ship burials were pretty much reserved for the very wealthy and nobility. The ships took a long time and a lot of resources to build, so it wouldn't have been practical to do that with just everyone. Sometimes the ship would be burned before it was sent out into the water, but other times the body would be cremated and then placed on the ship and then it's sent out. And again, the person's goods and belongings would be sent with them so that they would have them in the afterlife. So here is a picture that was in an Icelandic magazine that had an article describing the temple that they were building over there. And I'm pretty sure that the temple's finished now. But I did include a link to the article if you'd like to check that out. I found it to be very interesting. And then I also have my works cited page. Thank you.